Chris Jericho is one of the biggest wrestling stars ever, and don't try to pretend otherwise. I mean, look at everything he's done. He was a success in Mexico, he was a success in Japan, he was an underused and underrated hero in WCW, he managed to sort of wade through the murky waters of WWE to become an absolute legend there, and now in AEW, he's probably the most important guy on the show. I mean, that is quite the CV. Look at my CV and it just says bald asshole. So when he says things, there's a reason for it, and on a recent live stream when he was asked, hey Chris, who are the 5 wrestlers you would like in AEW? He didn't think twice, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Why? I mean, do I still say the here's why? It doesn't really, okay, well, I kind of ruined that. Here's why. Shib. The first one that will make a select few people lose their minds is the one and only Roman Reigns. I know, boo, 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 Roman. I mean, poor Roman. I genuinely feel sorry for him because talk about wrong place, wrong time, and occasionally wrong gimmick. Because you can go back to nearly any time within WWE and not only see how much potential he has, but see what a good wrestler he actually is. But all you get from a certain contingent is, yeah, but he said suffering succotash, and that time he won the Royal Rumble, and he shouldn't have won the Royal Rumble, and so on and so on and so on. And yeah, that's fine. Some of the things I just said were not great. They were not great at all. In fact, it was like somebody slapping you round the face. But somehow that conversation then turns into, and he's a crappy pro wrestler, and I'm sorry, my friends, that is not true. Aside from top matches against the likes of AJ Styles, Brock Lesnar, Daniel Bryan, and John Cena, yeah, that's right, I said it, I enjoyed it, he always still seems to be fighting back against his critics. And yet when Chris Jericho was trying to come up with a name, the number one name who he would want to see go from World Wrestling Entertainment to All Elite Wrestling, he said Raymond's of Rome. What? No, Roman Reigns. And sure, you can say the reason for that is because he knows it would make the biggest splash and get most people interested, because again, it is the biggest guy moving ship. But then what do you do a month later? That wears off. That's just the gut reaction that you have. You then have to back it up in the ring, and believe you me, as Chris Jericho knows, Roman can do it. He's also a top draw and appeals for wrestling fans that aren't nerds like you and I. Don't pretend that we're not nerds, we are nerds. There's nothing wrong with that. Of course there's nothing wrong with that. Being a nerd is awesome. But we sit around and try and book what WWE should do with The Fiend. Big finger, nerd. The sheer amazing matches that would open up as well. I'd be good for Roman Reigns versus Chris Jericho, Roman Reigns versus Kenny Omega, Roman Reigns versus Cody, Roman Reigns versus Orange Cassidy for the lols, Roman Reigns versus John Moxley for the lols, and pretty much anyone you can think of. Although my personal favourite would be Roman versus Luchasaurus. I don't even know why, but you know, the big dog ain't gonna have nothing on a dinosaur. Dinosaur's always gonna win. And do you wanna know who was number 2 on that list? It was Ricochet. Of course, another guy that would make a splash because at the moment he's in WWE. But I also truly believe if he did go to All Elite Wrestling, he would be allowed to flourish like a man should flourish. Coming and going from Raw more than Mojo Rawley, that's a joke, I'm just being an idiot, let's move past it. I just can't understand why WWE doesn't see in him what 99% of people do. And I know he's not the best promo in the world, but I don't turn on my television to see Ricochet cut promos. It's like if a pizza turns up in my house that I ordered, I don't go, oh, I wanted chicken. That doesn't make any sense. No, all I want on Ricochet when he is on my TV is those arsenal of spectacular moves that leave me a sweaty mess as I try and figure out how the hell he's doing it. It's like trying to do an equation, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, he is more incredible than photography. And that's not a verbal typo either. I don't understand photography. How do you capture life? But seriously, he's always felt like money to me, but you've got to see what he's capable of doing in the ring. I mean, that's why he was so beloved down in NXT, but then he comes up to the main roster and he gets killed by dudes like Brock Lesnar. I mean, I actually think Brock Lesnar ate some of him, and that's why ever since, he hasn't been around. The truth is, within AEW, he'd have more freedom, and just think what he could come up with against the likes of a Nick Jackson or a Phoenix. Probably gonna be illegal. And you can take all of these arguments and apply it to Jericho's number 3 choice, which is New Japan's William Osprey. Grounded because of the current global pandemic, I know it's really boring. I'm sure he'll be back having matches in the East before long, and that also means don't expect to see him in AEW anytime soon. But in the future, I think it makes a lot of sense. He too would bring his unique offense to the mix, and do you ever see Will Osprey have a bad match? And also recently, especially during lockdown, he seems to have bulked up a little bit because he wants to work more of a main event style, and Chris Jericho has probably seen that and gone, man, I can make all the cash with him. We could even put us at the top of the card. It's an absolute money feud, and given that Le Champion was never able to work with him when he was doing his New Japan matches, why not reverse it and do it over here instead? 4 and 5 are a little bit more interesting in terms of answers, but first and foremost, it is the man that currently killed Kotabushi. Seriously, who built his neck and where do I get one? Because he has been dropped on his head time and time again, and yet is still able to operate like a human being. It's like a Rubik's Cube to me, I just can't figure it out. Ibushi is also apparently built just to be a phenomenal pro wrestler, because not only can he go at it at 100 miles per hour in the ring, but when he's done, he looks so good he could probably go take like some photos for a lifestyle magazine. I mean, he just appeals to everyone, man, woman, whatever, he's got it. I bet even my mum would like him. Genuinely, I think if I sent a picture of Kotabushi to my mum and said, does this person appeal to you? She would go, yes. In fact, yeah, mum, open your email. Open your email. Right, oh, jeez. Click on the envelope thing. Yep, click on that. No, not the E, that's Internet Explorer. Click on the mail thing. No, that's Google Chrome. Do you see the thing that looks like an envelope? Click on that, and it will open your mail, and I want to show you this guy called Kotabushi. No, it is worth your time. Oh, forget it. Last but not least, and probably the most surprising of the bunch, is Don Kallus. Now, if you're a fan of mid-90s WWF, I'm talking about the Jackal, and if you're a fan of late 90s ECW, I'm talking about Cyrus the Virus. And when you look into the history between these two, it does tick all the boxes, because not only are they both from Winnipeg, Canada, you idiot, but they have helped each other out so many times over the years, their friendship is probably tighter than this weird thing I've done with my hands. The most recent one being Jericho actually going to bat for his friend after he was taken off New Japan commentary, and if it wasn't for Don Kallus, Chris Le Champion may have never have gone to New Japan in the first place to take on Kenny Omega, because it was Donny Boy that went, Chris, what do you think about this? I think it could be a terrific idea. Boy howdy was he right. That aside though, Kallus is actually quite a smart tamale when it does come to the world of professional wrestling, because not only does he get a great recommendation from a bunch of top stars, but he obviously took over Impact Wrestling a few years ago alongside Scott D'Amore, and well, they've done a fantastic job. When they did that, the company wasn't in great shape at all, and it made no sense, but nowadays when you tune in, you get a very enjoyable, very straightforward wrestling product with a bunch of amazing talent from top to bottom. Honestly, put on an episode of Impact and those 2 hours fly by. And that's not by accident either. You don't fluke your way into that, so maybe the leader of the Inner Circle wants his brain in All Elite Wrestling to come up with things that are equally as good. And also, he is multi-talented. You could put him on commentary too. You may even call him a jack of all trades. Fascinating though, right? Out of all the names he could have chosen, these are the guys that Jericho decided to plump for. During this live stream too, he also said that he would never return to WWE because he wouldn't be able to handle the system given how much freedom he has in All Elite Wrestling. Now, Jericho at one point did also say that he'd never worked for anyone in America or no company that wasn't run by Vince McMahon, so I suppose it could happen, but he seemed pretty adamant at the time. And to be fair, AEW has made him feel more like a main eventer than World Wrestling Entertainment ever did. I know he was the champion, and I know he did have main event matches, but it always just felt like something was holding him back. And for my money, he is the most pivotal person on screen, at least, in All Elite Wrestling, and I don't think that was by accident. I think it was by design. Know of any other wrestlers that you would like to see in AEW? Pretend you're Chris Jericho and you have that type of power. You can let us know in the comments, and for a little while, hope your dreams come true. Then like the video, share the video, subscribe to What Culture Wrestling. Head over to whatculture.com, read yourself some articles, follow What Culture on Twitter, What Culture WWE, and watch more videos here on What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon from What Culture, and if you would like to know the 5 people I would want to see in AEW Wrestling, well, it would be the Repo Man, followed by the Repo Man, followed by Rusev, followed by the Repo Man, followed by me. I mean, what an arrogant and stupid thing to say that is, but I've done it now. I can't go back, not true. I could just stop the camera and record it again, but I kind of thought the Repo Man joke was quite funny. Shout out to that one guy that gets mad when I mention Repo Man. Dude, I ain't kidding. I think Repo Man is the greatest character, the greatest gimmick ever, because it just sums up how beautiful pro wrestling can be. There was no need to talk about Repo Man here. I am obsessed. See you soon.